everybody. Joe Pizar here, certified financial planner with Washington Family Wealth here in Washington, Pennsylvania. As you can see, we are in our new office space. Finished renovating this about a week ago and trying to get everything moved in here. Just down the hall from our old space. So next time you're in for a review meeting or your consultation, we'll be happy to show you the new space. Hopefully I can get the rest of it finished up here soon. So anyway, welcome to our August edition. A little bit late, almost caught up with our financial calendar series. In August, we're going to be covering back to school and a tax review. So jumping right into it, so a tax review this time of year. So if you were on extension for last year, meaning you haven't filed your taxes yet, you're going to want to make sure and you get your extended 2024 tax return filed. For those of us that have income that we have to pay estimated taxes on, make sure that you're caught up with your estimated payments and ready to make those January payments as they come up. If you have questions on that, make sure you give your tax preparer a call. Next thing we want to talk about, are there any big changes in your tax situation for the year? So larger than normal income or lower than normal income, a large capital gain, or maybe a charitable contribution that your tax folks need to know about. That'll help all of us that work with you, your financial, your tax, and your legal counselors. Just make sure that we're on top of everything that's dealing with your situation. Next thing we want to look at is looking forward with our taxes. So if and one thing to keep in mind this year, so the July 4th BBB bill solidified the Tax Cuts Job Act rules into law. So we would need an act of Congress to change those tax codes, which gives us a lot of clarity as far as what is the current tax code going to be, what rules we're going to be playing by, at least for the next few years, and all that. And there were some additions to that tax ruling. One of the big ones that I think is going to be advantageous is folks that are single filers are going to be able to deduct $1,000 or married filing jointly $2,000 of charitable donations. That is without having to be an itemized filer. So even as a standard deduction filer, they're going to be able to do a little deduction for their charitable contributions to the church, to the charity that they like supporting, etc., which I think is great. But we do want to make sure that we are looking through the lens of next year and the foreseeable future under these current tax rules, because they are in law now, and that's what we're going to be dealing with. So a couple of quick tax tips as we round the year. Don't want to get too into it, but we want to make sure that we're taking heed of current situations. So if you haven't filed 24, make sure it gets filed by the extension deadline. Are there any big changes? And lastly, consider Tax Cuts Job Act moving into the future. What are the new rules and all that? So, all right, with our back to school tips for everybody. So all the kids are heading back to school. So college, I think high school's back, and football started. So, but making sure that we're encouraging that development and bringing them resources, whether it's books or apps or games, some things to help them kind of quantify money. And we have some other ones for the older kids here coming up. So one thing for the younger kids that I've seen and had a lot of great feedback from clients on is Greenlight. It's an app where the parents get control over approving purchases for the kids. And I think that can be a healthy tool in training financially literate kids. So for our middle-aged kids, so let's say, I don't know, middle school and up, one thing, resource I found useful for a lot of kids, the FDIC brings out they call it Money Smart class. So little video classes that you click through and learn a lesson about money. But I believe that the kids version, and we'll sublink to a bunch of this stuff down below in the description, is a really good resource. And they have a grown-up version too, we're going to talk about later. So be curious what some of your scores are on that. And I'm sure you get all pass with flying colors. But for those that might not have that much financial literacy, it's a great stepping stone and a good tool to learn some of the terms and verbiage and just how money applies. So next, books. So as the kids get a little bit older, we can start introducing books, and some of my favorites, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Millionaire Next Door. There's a lot out there. And like I said, we're going to be trying to do a book review series next year where we can talk a little bit more in depth on some of these titles that are, a lot of them are timeless. Some of them pretty nuanced and new, but I'm excited to bring some of that. So one more thing, when we have those kids that are getting to that high school age, we're starting to think about what's next. So as they get out of high school, whatever their next trail, wherever the next trail might lead them, whether it's trades, higher education in the form of college or secondary schools or what have you. There's a lot of great resources out there for kids to vet how these institutions are going to cost them or where they're going to go or who has the best major. So let me go through some resources. And this is not just college, but also trade schools. So some of these resources also help kids that are looking to get into trades. Where can you get that training? What do you aspire to be, et cetera? So first one, we're going to go through the College Affordability Guide. Really good resource for kids to look at what that institution is going to cost, what grants or help might be available to them. Next one is Big Future, and we'll have links down below, like I said, but this one's going to help figure out what trade school or college is going to fit best for what that kid wants to do. What we have seen is a lot of changes in the rules around college, or uncertainty around college payback, either the programs that were, public service student loan forgiveness, income-based repayment plans. We are seeing some changes in those programs, so stay tuned for more on that, because that does make it a little bit hazier as kids plan out their college journey and how they're going to pay back this potential debt. Next one would be College Scorecard. It's like a screener, again, for these different institutions to see what major or training program is going to be right for that kid. And lastly, consumerfinance.gov brought out a great resource on paying for college, explaining the different options and how things work. And like I said, we're having potential changes to these repayment programs, so just be cognizant as you're around on the turn and figuring out what's next for life. But some of those resources for our parents and grandparents out there, I'm sure, will be helpful as well, so feel free to share those, and like I said, links down below. Lastly, for our grown-ups, so for those of us that are out in the workforce or even potentially retired, one thing I always encourage keeping in mind is learning never stops. I learn things every day, and I would encourage everybody else to. And whether that's in the financial world or in other ways, I think that taking an active role in your learning throughout your life is important. So keep up with those different books. Like I said, I'm excited to bring out a little book series and talk about some of these more in depth and what they mean. But I appreciate, always be learning. And that's going to keep you sharp, whether it's financial literacy or anything else. Two, I did mention the FDIC and that Money Smart program does have a little curriculum for adults on financial literacy, and take some time, go through that Money Smart. I think it's a good training program for anybody to just brush up on their financial literacy and make sure they're still smart, or take a couple steps forward if they need it. Another one in that same vein is Green Path. You may have heard of that, where there's trainings, tutorials, worksheets for basic finance, budgeting, things like that. Other resources like Investopedia, How Money Works is a great YouTube channel that explains I guess for finance, pretty entertaining way how some bigger concepts work. But there's a ton of resources out there, so just a couple of my favorites there. And then lastly, us, as your financial professional, we are here to educate you. Our practice and our motto is growth through knowledge, so making sure that everybody is a little bit smarter next year than they were this year is part of our mission as your financial professionals. So on my website, you'll have links to content like this that we've created, articles that are subject-based. There's a resource section there, and we got a ton of this stuff posted there. So, and you can also just reach out and be like, hey, Joe, I want to learn more about X. What can you help me out with? And happy to help and be a resource, because the smarter we all are, the better decisions we can make for your financial future. So anyway, without any further ado, I do appreciate the time to talk to you today. I know this one went a little bit longer than others, but we did tax review and back to school. So good luck with your studies this year if you're still in active pursuit of your education. And for those of us that are out there, keep learning. So appreciate you. Joe P is our certified financial planner with Washington Family Wealth here in Washington, Pennsylvania. Take care.